Right at the nest.
Because the people there
Speak the name of Jesus.
No, I don't want to
There's a song. Do you ever look up songs, Charlie? Do you get on the internet and look up songs?
The sucker says, oh,
Did you really?
My wife was told me the second button on the.
If you ever look up a song on YouTube, it's called Speak the Name. Speak the Name. It's all about the name of Jesus. Every time I listen to it, it's such a good song. Look for it sometimes. It's a female singer. She knocks it out.
But that's
The other one, while they're still talking.
yeah.
Praise the Lord.
right, I had to put it back and down, right.
So I know Mark. People have made requests
Yeah, I use
to go to the appeals committee.
I'm not in for
Some
it.
basis.
I'll say that's not what Jesus requires.
And I don't know if he was specifically looking at that section of code that I sent you where it says you're challenging whether it's lawful or correct.
Cleanse all the time.
If you're,
Okay, we're now well past 7:05,
To make sure that we're
and we have everyone present. So let us call our regular session to order. And for our regular session this evening, we will have an invocation, although I shouldn't be doing, I'm now on the air, thank you. For our regular session, we will have an invocation led by Mr. Charlie Huff, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Levi Dean. If you would rise with me, please, for the invocation and pledge.
Greetings to all of you. And may you bow your heads while we pray. Father in heaven, I come to pray. You said to pray without ceasing. You said to pray one for another, to love one another. I come to pray for the council. Put your hand upon them today and every day. Give them wisdom from above to speak to the people of this city of hospitality. We thank you for them as they take care of business of our town. We love them and they love us. We love one another because you said we ought to do that. So I come to pray for them. To pray for everyone in this room. I come to pray for our troops that's overseas, that's putting their lives on a line to protect us. I pray for the firefighters and the policemen of our city to protect us. The hospitals and the nursing homes, all the help and the nurses. Oh Lord, there's so much to pray for. No wonder you said pray without ceasing. So I come tonight, Lord, in the name of Jesus, to pray for one another, to lift up Jesus' name, to come to you, Father, because Jesus always prayed. Everything he done was for you. He prayed in the garden. I go to the garden a lot and pray. Thank you, Father, for this time that we got together. And let us come together in unity in the name of your Son. And all God's people said, amen. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless everybody. I'll call you. I'll call you.
Thank you, Mr. Huff, and thank you, Councilman Dean. May I have roll call, please?
Vice President Wallace.
Here.
Councilman Scrivens.
Here.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Here.
Councilman Smith. Councilman Dean.
Here.
Mayor Mays.
Here.
President Engel.
Here. At this time, we have time for approval of minutes. May I first have a motion for the March 15th, 2018 special session, please?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Scrivens. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lauterbach. Discussion or question on this first motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Now a motion, please, for the March 22nd, 2018 special session.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Scrivens, second please.
Second.
Seconded by the mayor. Discussion or question on this set of minutes, please. Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And finally, a motion for our March 22nd, 2018 regular session.
It's a trifecta.
Trifected by Councilman Scrivens and seconded by Councilman Dean. Discussion, questions? Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
We have no special presentations this evening. We have a time for audience comments. If anyone would care to come and address the Xenia City Council, please feel free to do so. Step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 4 to 5 minutes, please.
Hello, my name is Susan Lopez, and I live in Beaver Creek, Ohio. So I'm here before you because I am running for Greene County Commissioner, and I wanted to introduce myself to you. I have been a frequent visitor at Xenia recently, but throughout my years. I grew up in Greene County, by the way, in Fairborn, and I have lived in Greene County for over 40 years. Of that, I have 20 years or more worked in Greene County, and I've actually worked for the county. So I know the county very well, and I've spent most of my career in social services. And I have to say that that is what is lacking from the commission is social services, because a large percentage of money that funnels to the county is in social services. And I believe that they have like let's say the three-legged stool, that they got 2 there and they need that extra support. So I think they need that, that they are missing. I was here at your meeting when the roads were talked about. That seemed to be a hot topic I've noticed for Xenia, and I've noticed that online too. So I would like to see more partnership with the cities and with the townships and the villages in Greene County, including Xenia and Xenia Township, with the commission. So I would like to see, I remember your former mayor came here and spoke and said how much money that is going to cost you to repair all the roads. And I get that because I've driven them and hit some of those potholes, so I get that. But I would like to see that the county would partner with you in that respect, in some respect, to help you with that. I also like, when I'm reading your materials, how much you guys do partner. And that's what I would hope the commission brings forward too. So I would hope that people would vote for me because I will partner with people. I will work with you and with the townships and with the cities. And I think that what benefits the county should benefit the cities. And what benefits the cities should, it's like a circle of help and support for each other. And that's what I believe Greene County needs to work on. And I promise that I would do that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I would call for other volunteers. I don't see any other audience members. I guess I could roll call people up. Would either of you gentlemen care to come up and speak? No? Okay. We will move on then from audience comments to old business. First item under old business is Resolution 2018-I. It is a second reading authorizing the city manager to purchase vehicles from Key Chrysler for the Public Service Department's Maintenance Division, originally introduced by Vice President Wallace.
And since we introduced it, I suppose we should now forward, have second reading.
Move for passage.
Move for passage.
Thank you very much. I have a motion for passage. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lauterbach? Okay.
Would it be inappropriate at this time, Madam Law Director, to also add our thanks, since this is Key, right, we're buying this from, to thank Key for our dare vehicle at this time, so.
I was just going to call for a discussion or question on it, so I think all of us would second that we all clearly enjoy purchasing local when we can, and this is a nice opportunity to support our local business and also get a quality vehicle for our public service division.
Absolutely.
Any other discussion or question, please?
Now, are we retiring a vehicle or keeping it in the fleet, or what? Is this an addition?
So these two vehicles in particular are added to our public service department fleet. To the extent that either of those two vehicles that are being replaced could be put into service in another area where they would be used less to replace something that's even older, we would do that. Off the top of my head, I can't speak to what the specific plans are, but we keep those vehicles
part
as
of the
long
fleet.
as we can.
Okay.
Yep.
Good deal.
Any other discussion or questions, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean. Aye. Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Ingram.
Aye.
Motion carried.
At this time, we have public hearings. We have scheduled the Small Cities Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, programs for 2018. This will be our first public hearing. Mr. City Manager, please.
Sorry, 1 second. Pursuant to the state statute, the city is required to conduct public hearings for our community development program in order to be eligible for funding. So again, we are required to provide an opportunity for public engagement pursuant to those statutes, and so this evening we would just offer that opportunity.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would open the public hearing and ask anyone who would wish to come and speak for the community development block grants. Please step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 4 to 5 minutes. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against the community development block grants? Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak neither for nor against, but on the subject of the community development block grants, step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Seeing none, at this time I will close the public hearing. And we have no other action on the item other than to hold the public hearing this evening. Thank you. We'll move now to new business. We have a number of items under new business. Our first is Resolution 2018-J as an emergency, authorizing the city manager to execute agreements with the county engineer's office and the John R. Jurgensen Company to complete the city's 2018 street program and declaring this to be an emergency. Mr. City Manager, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight's first item is a recommendation for approval as an emergency of the resolution authorizing the execution of the agreements with the County Engineer's Office and with John R. Jurgensen Company for completion of the 2018 street rehabilitation program. As a standard requirement, participation in the Greene County Engineers Cooperative Street Bid Program requires a participation agreement laying out general terms for inclusion in the program. In the agreement with John R. Jurgensen stipulates a contract for services in the amount of $585,678.46 for various street improvements. As directed by City Council's prior administrative motion, the 2018 street program will focus on the critical needs approach, which includes spot corrections of several major thoroughfares with full depth rehab of portions of driving lanes in on those roadways. This contract includes only the primary streets rehab. The additional rehab work directed by City Council for Galway will be addressed through legislation for appropriation in a change order for John R. Jurgensen at the next regular session of Council. Staff request approval of the resolution 2018-J as an emergency to meet the deadlines for participation in the County Engineers Program to authorize the street rehab for 2018.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion, please, as an emergency for the resolution?
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by the Vice President. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lauterbach. Discussion or question on this motion, please. As stated a little bit earlier, we are again partnering with the county to maximize tax dollars for this. So thank you very much to staff for doing that, and thank you to our county partners for throwing in with us together. Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Ingram.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Now we have ordinance 2018-11, an introduction, determining to proceed with improvement of street lights and public ways by the lighting thereof within Street Light District Number 2 for the years 2019 to 2022. Mr. City Manager.
Under the city's zoning code, a developer of a subdivision that is interested in including streetlights for that subdivision must agree to a streetlight assessment for the benefiting lots within that plat. In line with this requirement, M1 Development LLC, for its work in the Sterling Green Crossing Subdivision Section 2, has received a cost to install 10 streetlights, along with the monthly electricity fee per the city's contract with Miami Valley Lighting. As you'll recall, the developer is responsible for the initial cost to install the lights, and then the city's responsible for paying the monthly electricity cost moving forward. Council adopted the required resolution of necessity to establish the street lighting district number 2 on March 8th of this year for this purpose. Tonight it is recommended City Council initiate the second step in the process by introducing Ordinance 2018-11, establishing the intent to proceed with the street light installation and subsequent assessment of the cost to the benefiting property owners. Staff recommends Council introduce that ordinance this evening.
Thank you. May I have an introduction from one of my colleagues, please?
Sorry,
Introduced by the Vice President. Thank you. Next item is Ordinance 2018-12, also an introduction, repealing in its entirety Chapter 642 of the city's General Offenses Code and enacting a new Chapter 642 titled Property Offenses. Madam Law Director.
Good evening. What started out as a way to address what we had talked about, the thrown flyers, mailers, the circulars, the commercial advertising that we're seeing such a problem with in town, I decided to add that as a section to littering. And when I looked at 642, I decided, well, the whole chapter needs updated. So that's what we've done here. And I'll just run through real quick. We are repealing the existing chapter, which is called Offenses Related to Property. We're doing a new chapter 642, which is titled Property Offenses. Your old chapter, the existing one, you have 13 sections. 7 of those are currently repealed, so you only have 6 on the books. So what I've done going through here is, of the existing sections, there are 3 that have carried over into this rewrite. For example, we had how to determine property value in arson cases on the books, but we had taken arson out of the books back in 1999. I'm not sure why. So many of these property offenses that are considered misdemeanors under state law have been put back into this chapter. That would include criminal mischief, trespassing, certain types of vandalism, arson's in there, so those have carried over. Then we've also added a new section. It's 642.14, excuse me, 13, and that's the new section that deals with littering. And what this section does is no person, regardless of intent, shall drop, throw, discard, otherwise place any kind of junk, garbage, rubbish, debris, or unsolicited flyers, mailers, circulars.
Can I interrupt you?
Absolutely.
What's your definition of unsolicited?
Unsolicited would be the property owner has not requested it, meaning it doesn't affect the Xenia Gazette, it doesn't affect the Dayton Daily News. Anything that you've requested be delivered, basically your newspapers.
Okay, what about the company that throws all the stuff in the street and the driveway? Would that be unsolicited?
That would be unsolicited, and that's exactly what this is meant to address.
So are we going to contact this company and tell them? Because we had Councilman Scrivens brought this up, and I said I had a phone number to call, and they quit delivering on my street, but the next day they threw them all on my street. So sometimes it's better keep your mouth shut. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure that all this stuff, like the councilman said, gets in our storm. And I don't think, I'm just speculating, I don't think the majority of our citizens want them. I could be wrong. Maybe they look forward to getting them.
No, they don't.
But I think it trashes the city.
And that's exactly what this was meant to address. And what we did, it's not just the company itself. I'll use, for example, Red Plum. They're one of the companies that publish those mailers that get thrown out or put in your mailbox. This isn't just against them. The person that is throwing those, it is a violation for them to do that. I guarantee you we have police officers who know when this is happening. So another thing we've done as well is we've put in here, it's a graduated penalty scale. First offense is a minor misdemeanor. If you've previously been convicted or pled guilty to 2 or more violations, the crime goes up. The next one, the crime goes up. The goal there being to discourage this type of behavior. So one of the things that we had talked about, the city manager, safety director, we of course will be sitting down with the police department because it's really going to be on them to enforce this.
Do they have any other options? They can't put them in the mailbox. That's against the postal service. That's a law against that.
They can mail them if they pay for the postage.
Okay, what if they put their own device and stuff them in, instead of throw them in the street?
If people wanted them and you could get a box, like you can get a box for your newspaper, that's
Yeah.
not unsolicited.
I just don't know what kind of feedback we're gonna get when they, yeah. I mean, I'd like to make it convenient for the people that do want them, but the people that, there's a fine line there. How do you stop it?
Could I, just one thing though, that what you just said, like, we still get mailers, like the coupon in my mailbox, and they've paid for the postage, the Reach magazine.
Yeah.
That's something, and to me, you're not cutting off coupons, I mean, that a lot of us use. You're just doing it in a way where they have to pay for the postage.
And all
it's
that,
not-
it's
would
all
you-
available
Yeah,
online
okay.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you clarify, based on our phone conversation, just some of the
Yes,
questions I
yes.
had?
The mayor
My
called me.
specific question was
If I could,
about-
just a point of information.
Sure.
Danette was still in her introduction. We haven't actually brought the
Sorry.
measure to the
Yes.
floor,
I
so to
apologize.
facilitate
I got
discussion, I would
excited.
recommend you do that first, and then, by all means.
So we don't
If you were
hijack
done.
her.
In other words, you'd like for us to hush.
She's still.
Well, I just want you to follow procedure so you don't get in trouble,
No, she's still presenting. He hasn't called.
or
for
get me in
discussion.
trouble.
So she's still presenting.
The second new section we've added is something called endangering aircraft. This is currently a violation under state law, and under state law, a drone is considered to be an aircraft. As we see more and more commercial drones in town, as our fire department now has a drone, I thought it was important to add this. It basically prohibits you throwing or shooting anything at drones. It is a violation under state law, so we did add it in
I
here.
mean, on my double barrel shotgun, I can't.
You've got
shoot.
to stop.
I'll stop.
Wow.
That basically is your new chapter 642. It includes everything that is a property violation under state law, that's a misdemeanor. Then also includes that new prohibitions against littering, and then we did incorporate the endangering aircraft, which is a misdemeanor under state law as well.
Thank you. At this point, I would seek an introduction from one of my colleagues for this item.
So move, Mr. President.
Thank you. Introduced by Councilman Scrivens. General questions on this subject.
I've got one.
Okay, let's start down here.
All right. Okay, so when you're talking about unsolicited, okay, what about like political ads? What about?
That was the conversation that the mayor and I had earlier today. The way we define this, it's not that you're going to someone's door and knocking. It's not that you're hanging something on a door. It's you're throwing. You're dropping. It's really meant to deal with those things where you're throwing things onto other people's property. Now, if there is a candidate for an office that has somebody driving down the road and they're throwing things on people's property, that would be in violation of this. But you're going to the door, you're leaving something on the door, that would not violate the way this is written.
That was my question.
Thank you.
That also answers my question.
Well, and
I got
one of the
Fort
big
One on
reasons,
that.
one of the reasons I asked that, I had said like our church canvasses the neighborhood for VBS, and wanted to make sure that our churches as well, who put out, there's the food pantry or the flyers, to make sure that that's acceptable, and we wouldn't get pushback on that.
Well, and that's something Mr. Merriman and I have discussed, coming up with and updating some regulations that address itinerant vendors, food trucks. When you set up, you're selling roses for an afternoon, peddlers, people that go door to door, and then canvassers, which would be churches, political content, charitable donations, those types of things. So I
Yeah,
think we'll probably be coming back to you in the next
I
couple
think so,
months.
because, we have to be very careful, because you walk a fine line with different forms of speech, free speech. But at the same time, we do, pursuant to, to federal law, state law, case law, we have the ability to regulate some of these activities. And I think we have a pretty good understanding from council. Some of these things are problems, and I will add, specifically, solicitation is a problem. We do not have really good code structure in place right now. We get pretty regular complaints, particularly from the elderly folks in our community who, in many cases, almost feel threatened. So we want to make sure that we are providing an opportunity within the context of speech limitations to allow people where it's appropriate to do that, but where we can regulate it, and it's necessary to do so, to come back with some legislation that would address that. I also wanted to mention really quickly, too, that with regard to this weekly circular that's kind of generating this issue, as we would implement this, we now have the contact information of that vendor, so we will be contacting them in addition to that conversation with the police division on enforcement. So I don't want to broadside their employees, so we will let them know the changes that we're making and the expectation that's being set. But at the same time, we will have our police division enforcing this, because we have gotten just innumerable complaints on this particular issue. So.
My experience with these, the people that are throwing these are independent contractors. They pay them $100 a week. Other cities that have this type of regulations, what I've seen is that contractor stops coming in and throwing those. They basically just get deposited in the garbage can somewhere, because they don't want to get in trouble for it. But it stops it where it's a nuisance to our residents, it's clogging up the storm sewer, and it just looks unsightly because they blow everywhere.
Just one final note, we've looked at a number of different options, and this really is the best way we think we can get a handle on this. And that for some reason that we need to tweak it, then we'll come back and tweak it later, but I think this is something that'll be effective.
Thank you. Any other?
I just wanted to commend our law director for her due diligence on this. When did you bring this up, Councilman?
Oh, she was on it
I mean,
immediately.
last council meeting?
month, yeah,
Or-
yeah, last
so,
month.
thank you very much for putting this
She's on
together.
her job.
I suggested she do that, so it's.
Yeah, keep sitting your chair over farther there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
President, if I could?
Go ahead.
No, please, I didn't know that you had the floor, so.
One more question in regard to what we were talking about with the church or the political flyers and whatnot. The word depositing, is that, I know you said that we're not throwing flyers and we're not
Deposited
littering.
is,
Okay. I just didn't know if that
You-
seems muddy to me.
you dump it on somebody's lawn, that would be depositing it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President, I would like to follow Councilman Lotter back here. When you ask this law director to look into something, she goes right to work. I have to give her kudos in public. You do your job, and I'm proud of that.
Thank you.
And this is one of my pet issues, because I can't stand litter. I talked to the assistant city manager this evening about a couple of sites. We can't have that. People drive in, we're trying to attract people, and the first thing they see is litter and garbage. Not gonna have it, personally.
What about our city manager and finance director?
Well, now, that's a horse for another cause. No, but seriously, I was on board a number of years ago when we had 642, and I think it would have been renumbered since then. But the general offenses code definitely needed to be redone and given some teeth. And former Councilman Larry Gordon, and to all the others who have called me and complained, we hear you and we have action. So once again, we act together, we'll get this place cleaned up. It's part of the little things, I promise. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Clean this place up.
And I appreciate this. I do think we have to be a little bit sensitive to the fact that there are some people that are employed under this process. However, I did want to comment, right before Easter, I walked my dog down my street right after this happened, where they came through with the flyers, and I've got a picture of it, and out of 5 homes, only one of the homes did it even make the driveway. They were in the middle of the street. people aren't picking these flyers out in the middle of the street. That's just garbage. So, you know, unfortunately, it's been abused, and you have to fix it. So, I know there are a few people that do look forward to the ad, but I'll tell you what, that same ad that comes and laying in the middle of your street is right at the front of the grocery store. You just got to grab it when you get your cart.
Or you can get it online,
Yeah,
or you can call and ask that they mail them to you.
right. But thank you.
I would follow all my colleagues. Thank you very much to Law Director and staff for pulling this together. It was very timely, and it is something that will make our city look a tremendous amount better as we fully enforce it. Next item we have is an administrative motion authorizing the city manager to execute contracts for water distribution and sewer collection supplies for 2018. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. As an annual housekeeping measure to ensure best value to our city, the Public Service Department solicits bids for water and sewer supplies. All vendors propose competitive pricing for various supplies as demonstrated in the bid tabulation attached to your agenda report. The prices proposed are valid for a one-year period. The vendors included in the submittal are Ferguson Waterworks, E.J. Prescott, Fortiline, Core and Main, Buckeye State Pipe, and Nina Foundry. Due to the large quantity and availability of various items, staff recommends that all 6 proposals from each vendor on the attached list be accepted and contracts entered into with each vendor. The term of the contracts would be for 1 year with the stipulation that the city will purchase each individual item at the lowest cost proposed by the vendors individually for that item, provided that it meets all specifications. All items will be purchased throughout the year on an as-needed basis. Staff requests the administrative motion this evening authorizing the contracts as described.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to authorize this, please?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Lauterbach. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Dean. Discussion or question on the motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President England.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Now, an administrative motion, please, to authorize the city manager to execute a partnership agreement with Greene County for the Community Housing Impact and Preservation CHIP program. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Staff is recommending City Council authorize by administrative motion the execution of a partnership agreement with Greene County for the purpose of a joint application for the Community Housing Impact and Preservation Program grant funding. The city and county have experience in executing such partnerships successfully and as recently as 2014 round of CHIP program funding. The CHIP program offers assistance to income qualifying residents to improve or provide housing. Under our joint application, we are eligible for up to $400,000 in grant funding. Under the proposed partnership agreement, Greene County Development Department would serve as the direct recipient of funding and would administer the program and fund distribution. The county would also provide $50,000 in home program income for new housing construction. As the co-applicant, the city would be responsible with the county for the proper use of funding, but we will have no direct administrative responsibilities. As part of the agreement, the city would commit $50,000 in home program income for use with home private owner rehab program or the Habitat for Humanity program. As a reminder, program income funding such as the home funds mentioned herein are leftover grant funds or repaid loan funds that are available for the city to use for only approved program purposes in line with their original goal. Use of these funds in partnership with Greene County as proposed is both an eligible and productive use of the program income. Staff this evening recommends approval of a motion to authorize the agreement and our participation in the grant program.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve and get involved in the program, please?
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by the Vice President. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by the Mayor. Discussion or question on this motion, please?
Mr. President,
Yes.
this program, the CHIP program, to my knowledge, began back about '06, and Mrs. Crockett was working with it. Then it bounced around for a while, and it's turned out to be a very good program. I personally have gotten a couple people on the program, and I have personally benefited from the program. So I'm all for this program, and we need it especially in what we would call the blighted areas. And I just can't say enough good things about this program. This program's been around for a while. So,
Thank you. Any other discussion or question, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President England.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Now an administrative motion, please, to reappoint Tamisha is it Samick?
Semiak.
To the Greene County Board of Health for a 4-year term. Mr. City Manager, please.
Pursuant to the agreement forming the Greene County Combined Health District, the city has 2 seats on the County Health Board and is responsible for filling those seats with qualified individuals. The seat of Tamisha Samiak is due for reappointment. Ms. Samiak has previously served and is well qualified as a significantly contributing member of the Board of Health. This 4-year term would extend to 2021. Staff recommends council appoint Ms. Samiak for the new term by administrative motion this evening.
Thank you. May I have a motion to reappoint, please?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Latterback. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Discussion or question on this motion, please.
Who's our other board member?
Elaine Hughes.
Oh, Elaine J. Hughes?
Elaine Hughes.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace,
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens,
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach,
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Egan.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Now an administrative motion to approve the 2018 Heritage Tree nomination, and I will present that. In 2011, the Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities formed a subcommittee known as the Tree Committee. They meet monthly and have worked collaboratively with BRACA, the Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities, and city staff towards achieving the following goals: holding Arbor Day events each year, participating in community events, developing a recommended tree list, and establishing and maintaining a tree inventory. They also helped develop the Heritage Tree Program, which was approved by City Council in 2011 to recognize, honor, and foster appreciation of trees on public or private property for the unique history, shape, size, beauty, and species that have cultural, historical, and aesthetic value. Since that time, 32 nominations for heritage trees have been approved. Plaques denoting pertinent information have been installed near each tree or grove of trees. For 2018, the Xenia Tree Committee nominated, and on March 6th, the Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities endorsed a nomination for the 2018 Heritage Tree as follows. It is a white oak located at 300 Country Club Drive. Its trunk diameter is 48 inches. Its height is 80 feet. Canopy spread is 65 feet, and its approximate age is 240 years.
Wow.
And at that, I would ask for a nomination from, a motion from one of my colleagues to approve this heritage tree for Xenia.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by, did you?
Lauterbach.
Oh, I was going to say,
Lauterbach
Councilman.
Scrivens.
You had your head turned that way. I couldn't tell which way it was.
Oh,
It was
Councilman
whispering.
Lauterbach, Councilman Scrivens. Thank you very much. Any discussion, please?
no, just a curiosity question.
Yes.
The ash borer, is that still a problem? Didn't the city take care of, was there some ash borer at some of our parks?
In fact, specifically at Shawnee Park, we had a couple of victims. We've been incrementally trying to deal with all those in any, that were presenting any significant danger in rights-of-way at parks so that it would limit, any potential impact to our citizens. I would say we're continuing to deal with the problem, but there are a lot of dead trees around on public and private property still.
Really?
I
Just hadn't heard
yeah,
anything lately.
yeah. It will decimate the entire population of the trees before it's done. There's really no effective treatment that will eliminate this bug. At least that's been found to this point.
That's too bad. Thank you.
And I think the last I heard, I think there were something like 4 billion ash trees in the state of Ohio.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes. And for my part, sitting as the council member to BRACA, I want to thank the tree committee for their dedication to this particular aspect of making the city much more presentable, aesthetically appealing. And we truly do have a number of very beautiful trees that they recognized over time. And just wanted to take this opportunity to thank them for their work and their continued efforts on the part of the city.
Is this the golf course property? Is that golf course property?
No, I don't think so.
300 Country Club, not quite to the golf course. Yeah, it's still within the,
Pretty close to the church, isn't it? Just a little bit beyond.
fairly close, I do believe. I'm thinking Faith Community is 100, so, yeah,
Just after Pavey Place.
yeah, just after Pavey. If no other discussion, I would ask for a roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace,
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens,
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach,
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Egan.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Now an administrative motion, please, to authorize the transfer of funds to facilitate the Hope 6 Lit Brothers Xenia Shoe and Leather Building Project. Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. Council's taken a variety of actions related to the Hope 6 grant to put residential units above Xenia Shoe and Leather. The Hope 6 grant's unique, and it's been a long process for us to work with HUD and try to understand what exactly is required of us and what's required of the property owner. The dollars were initially budgeted for this project as contractual services and rehab dollars. After conversation with HUD and understanding how they want this structured, they would prefer that it be structured as a loan. And therefore, there's a need to go ahead and transfer the dollars from those rehab lines into the right accounting line, which would be a loan line. This has already gone to Loan Trust. Loan Trust has approved the loan. And so we're just requesting tonight that council move the money so that we can proceed and get that project moving.
Thank you.
I just want a point of clarification from our law director. Councilman Scrivens and I are on the Loan Trust, and we voted for it. Would it be okay if we vote for, should we abstain from voting on this?
I don't see an issue.
Okay, I
with
just
that.
want to make, we've already.
I think you're fine to vote, because that loan trust committee is a committee of this
Yeah,
city.
we've already approved it. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I will seek a motion, please, I bet from one of these two gentlemen, and a second from them for this item.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Latterback and Scrivens. Any discussion or question on the motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Latterback?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Ingle?
Aye.
Motion carried.
And finally, this is item I, so it's been quite a list of new business for us. An administrative motion approving the schedule of bills in the amount of $239,580.66.
I have nothing to note.
You have nothing to note.
Nothing to note.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mayor, seconded by Councilman Latterback. Any discussion or question on the bills or any specific bills?
No specific bills, but on the bills, citizens can look at xenia.ohio.checkbook to see exactly how all monies are expended. So if you want to do some look-and-see, that's where you go to look and see.
Yeah, it's also available on our website, so the actual
Right.
scheduled bills that council sees is on the website, as well as a lot of other financial information on our
Right.
website, as well
It's
as
replete
links
with
to Ohio
information.
Checkbook.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion or question, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Latterback?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Councilman Dean?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Ingle?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much. At this time, we will move to reports of committees. First, we have Board of Zoning Appeals. Mayor Mays, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. BZA met on March 26. We had 4 cases to consider. First was case number BZA 2018-02, a variance to allow 20-foot tall freestanding sign for Hampton Inn Hotel that exceeds the Land Development Code maximum sign height of 15 feet, filed by Wilson Sign Company for the property located at 194 South Progress Drive. This was denied. Case number BZA 2018-03, a variance requesting a lot split that would result in a lot with a depth front to back that is greater than the maximum of 3 times the lot width permitted by the Land Development Code, filed by Jeff Vaught and Aaron Hamilton for the property located on Haver Road. This was approved. Case number BZA 2018-04, variance to install 2 driveway signs on internal driveways of the Athletes in Action campus, one with a height of 8 feet and one with a height of 8.5 feet, exceeding the maximum sign height of 6 feet, permitted by the Land Development Code, filed by Tim Coleman and Jerry Denninger for the property known as Athletes in Action at 1197 South Detroit Street, which was approved. And finally, case number BZA 2018-05, variance to replace a non-conforming former healthcare administration office in the rear building with a non-conforming healthcare training business, filed by Al Cummings for the property located at 1143 North Detroit Street, and this was approved. And that is it.
Thank you very much. Anything for BZA and Mayor Mays, please?
Just a question on the Hampton Inn. I think they have pretty large signs. Are we talking about from the ground to
Correct.
the height to the top of the sign?
Correct.
So it's 15 foot, is that throughout the city? 15 foot is the maximum, even at like the McDonald's and every place?
Yeah, it's standardized citywide.
Okay.
But again, we have written in some more flexibilities. There are some administrative capacities, and of course, there are always some capacities through zoning appeals for options. But, you know, we will work with each business individually to come up with a customized option to the extent that we can do that.
Yeah, I was just curious if if Hampton Inn knew this going in, or.
Yeah, they will have to go through, you know, in fact, as a general rule, I think we're pretty good, as businesses come to us in the planning process to locate here, you know, we want to provide those services. We'll walk through every part of that process, from the zoning issues to signage issues to any material use issues. You know, it's a pretty comprehensive service that we'll provide.
And I know we have to be consistent, don't get me wrong, but, yeah.
The big reason this was discussed at length, I mean, I don't vote on it, but one of the things that was discussed at length was the amount of wall space they have and signage that they can actually put on their hotel that would, because the reason they wanted the extra 5 feet was due to being able to see it from the highway and from Business 35 Main Street. They were, and the push, well, it has to meet 8 criteria, and it only met 3, and which is why it was denied. But the other comment from BZA colleagues was that there's so much wall space on the outer sides of the hotel that will say Hampton Inn, and as you drive down 35, you can easily see the hotel, and even on Business Main, you can see the hotel, you can see the top, and if there's a sign there that says at the top Hampton Inn, it's very visual. That was the discussion that was had.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other item for BZA? Next item is Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities.
Mr. President,
Yes.
let me ask one other question. I'm sorry, going back to the BZA for
Sure.
a second. Just in the event that council disagreed with BZA, do we have a right to override BZA, or do we, I guess that's a law
Don't think so.
question. We do not. They're the last,
I don't think so.
the last meow.
Yeah, I don't think so on that issue. We can double check, but I think that's the extent of the process.
Please confirm for us. Thank you.
Please.
Next item is Board for Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities. I will provide that report. As we just discussed, we nominated the heritage tree, which was selected and approved this evening. The Easter egg hunt just concluded the day before Easter at Shawnee Park. It was a bit damp, but there were still, I would hazard a guess at several thousand people present for that event altogether. And there were 10,000 eggs picked up by different age groups of children. And then post that, we had a basket giveaway, which is the tradition for the Easter egg hunt. And I believe this year was a record year, and that there were 150 or more baskets, which were given away free of charge. A number from members on this council, of which I think Councilman Smith is the overall winner of number of baskets.
I won again, all right.
I think every other basket said Councilman Smith.
How much did you pay for your basket?
I start in January.
Okay.
And I buy baskets different places. Sometimes I get them at thrift stores.
I've seen you in the Dollar Tree.
We'll paint them and spray paint them, make them look nicer. But average retail value probably like $19.99 or something, about $20 a basket. But I enjoy it. No, it's just a way to give back, and not to steal your thunder, I wasn't able to participate this year, but and be there. But last minute situation with family, but it's just a joy to see the look on the kids' faces when they get that, and it's just a wonderful way to give back to our community.
And that's what I was going to suggest, is thanks not only to members who donated, but any number of businesses and other enterprises, churches also donated baskets, and Councilman Smith is 110% right. The look on and I actually got to give out one to she had to be no more than 3. But Mom came up, gave the ticket, and said, "I think this is your basket." And I handed the basket down, and the smile just went from ear to ear. So really made their day, and certainly it was a joy to participate in that once again this year with the mayor and a number of others sitting here with me. to pass out baskets and such for Xenia. So,
You know, there's a lot of poverty in Xenia. We've
Yes.
talked about this before. And events like this, a lot of families look forward
Yep.
to it. So I think it's a great venture.
it absolutely is. Thank you. And the last item I have is a future event coming up on the 27th of this month. It is Arbor Day, and there will be a tree planted there but it starts at 10:45. The tree planting will probably be at that time or shortly thereafter. The tree is actually being donated this year by Ross Apple of Stroudsburg Nursery, which is here in Xenia. So wanted to give them a quick shout out for their generosity in donating that tree. And again, thank our Xenia Tree Committee and BRCA for putting together an event to commemorate an important day where we need to remember that our natural resources are incredibly important for us, both for a beautification of our city as well as just everyday needs. So,
Where is the tree going to be planted?
will be planted at Shawnee Elementary School, East Ankeny Mill Road, sorry. Friday, 27th of April, starting at 10:45.
It's
And they
not
will
an
actually
ash-
be doing.
It's not an ash tree, is it? No, I know.
I doubt that, but
I know.
I didn't ask which one.
I know, Mr. Strasburg, that's just a joke.
Nice thing is the tree committee will also be doing some teaching of how to plant trees, because improper planting results in premature death or certainly stunted growth for trees that are planted. So if you are in need of some of that education, they will be happy to help you and provide you with all sorts of tips for that.
You know, I guess I planted 16 arborvitaes at the rear of my property and only 4 survived, so I think
you need some training. We'll see you on Friday, the 27th of April, Shawnee Elementary School.
I think I'll be there.
Any other questions on the BRCA item, please? If not, Traffic Commission, please. Councilman Dean.
Our meeting was canceled.
That's easy. Anything for trafficking, Councilman Dean, please. And final item is Planning and Zoning Commission, Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. This month's April meeting of Planning and Zoning Commission was canceled due to lack of agenda items. However, we do have an item on the agenda, and our meeting has been moved from Thursday, May 3rd to actually Wednesday, May 2nd at 6 o'clock. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything for planning and Councilman Smith, please? Seeing none, we will move to appointed official and council comments. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of reminders this evening. First, a reminder that we are now officially in severe weather season. Folks should be mindful of these conditions. Obviously, city staff monitors conditions very closely, stay on top of these things as different fronts come through to make sure that we are prepared to respond. One thing that we want to impart with folks, it is never a good idea to leave your home and seek shelter at another location. Always shelter in place. Another point that comes up frequently for us is, I can't hear the tornado sirens in my homes. Tornado sirens are not designed to be audible in homes. They are actually an outdoor warning mechanism. We strongly encourage folks to use weather radios, apps on cell phones, some great apps out there that have a lot of weather alerts, television, radio, different resources like that for indoors. Oftentimes you will be able to hear them indoors, but they are not actually designed to do that. One other important point, we got a few complaints actually. The last severe weather issue that we had, we did have a tornado warning, a confirmed tornado that touched down just north of our city in a fairly unpopulated area, thank goodness. But as part of that, we of course launched our tornado sirens. But we did get some complaints because of the duration that those sirens were continued. The reason for that is our dispatch center dispatches for not just the city of Xenia or Xenia Township, but most of eastern Greene County, southern Greene County. In fact, geographically speaking, it's about half to 2/3 of the county that we dispatch for. Under prior protocol at the National Weather Service, they would issue a tornado warning for the entire county. Now that has since changed, but under that old format, when we had tornado warning, we would issue all the warnings simultaneously, the sirens simultaneously. So our sirens are actually, that we launch from our dispatch, are all hardwired to launch together. So in that particular instance, even though Xenia proper was no longer under a direct tornado threat, portions of eastern, northeastern Greene County were still under a tornado warning. That's why our tornado sirens still sounded. Now, we have begun looking at ways to disconnect those and have the ability to launch them simultaneously or individually through our dispatch center. But right now, we don't have that option. Once we push the button, it's for the whole region.
While we're on the subject, I was going to bring this up later. I had a couple of citizens call me. Do we have an all clear signal?
We actually do not.
Okay, because probably because of the length of the sirens,
Correct.
I probably thought.
Typically, if you hear the siren still going, we're under that warning. When the siren stops, we will no longer be under that warning status.
And do we still have, I think it's called code red?
We do. As a matter of fact, we now call it hyperreach.
Okay, do they contact citizens by telephone?
Yes, and you can, landline, a cell phone line. We highly encourage people through hyperreach, but that won't necessarily affect their tornado warning system. That'll be for any other types of warning systems that we have.
Not tornadoes?
Not necessarily, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So again, it's that season, a lot of, particularly this year, temperature switches, the rapid warm-up to rapid cool-down that creates these situations. In our area, April, May, June are the most at-risk weather months. So again, we're just at the front end of the season, so folks should be vigilant, and we certainly will. Second, wanted to just touch on electric aggregation. We are, of course, starting a new re-up with electric aggregation. This is not a new process, but I think some folks out there have been a little confused. Folks do have questions. They can feel free to call into our office, the city manager's office at 376-7231. Ask to speak with Jared or any of our staff, and we will certainly help just walk people through what that is. For the most part, folks don't need to do anything unless they specifically want to opt out, but we can certainly help with that. And then last, just wanted to mention, under the price of progress category, we will have more detailed construction going on Progress Drive in the coming weeks. In particular, within the next couple of weeks, we will have some limitations at the intersection of Prouty and Progress, as well as Harner and Progress at various points in the coming weeks where those intersections will be shut down. You will not be able to turn from Prouty onto Progress, for example, or from Harner onto Progress. We're hoping to limit those to a couple days apiece, and we will be doing everything we can to get early warning and notice of those closures out to folks to minimize their inconvenience. But again, it's necessary to get the repair work done, so just bear with us and we'll try to give folks a heads up when those are set to occur. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anything for our city manager, please?
I guess I could wait till you get to me and do it, but since he's was just talking, I would like to thank him. One night, Tuesday night, we had the AAMA, the African American Ministerial Alliance meeting, and Mr. Forstner presented about the community garden in the Lexington Park. And when he did, the question of the bathrooms in the Lexington Park came up. And when we asked him about the bathrooms and their being put into use, he was saying pretty much that they could not be put into use. And I really didn't like Mr. Forstner's response, so I talked to him after the meeting, but I called Mr. Merriman on Wednesday, and we talked about the bathroom situation. And I do understand that there's some potential problems with the water line and maybe even with the sewer lines, but I understand he's talked with the people that need to be talked to and has given them instructions. Brent, would you share with council, and I want to thank you for what you've done already, but you can share with council what you've done, and I'd like to thank you publicly and personally for what you've done so that we can get those things done. And of course, I want to also thank Danny Cassidy and some folks from the United AME Church and First United Church, because they're going to provide some paint and some repair to the inside and so the fixtures. And I think it's what's the name of the path?
Narrow Path.
Narrow Path Plumbing, who's volunteered to do the actual plumbing work that needs to be done on the inside of the bathrooms at no charge to the city. And so it's a win-win-win situation, but we've got to have the infrastructure, the water line and the sewer line in place in order to do it. Would you, Brent? go
Yeah,
on?
and we've sort of had a verbal agreement with the churches in the interest of looking at rehabilitation of those fairly aged, that restroom facility at Lexington Park. With the community gardens and some of the other activities happening at the park, we want to try to make those facilities available. So the churches have stepped forward with some others, as the council, as Vice President indicated, looking at rehabbing that through community efforts. And so from the city's perspective, we'll do our part to make sure that the water and sewer lines are functioning properly. And then we'll make available keys to that building so they will have access to that building for use during those times when they need it. That asset's in place. We want to try to maximize the value of it, and it makes it a lot easier when we have volunteers in the community who are stepping up to help provide that manpower, that labor, and local businesses who are willing to donate some of those materials to help offset that cost. So it's a good program. We want to support, the use of that park as well as the new community garden program that's going there.
Absolutely.
At one time, were we talking about in our 5-year plan to move Lexington Park, move the location?
Yeah.
Lexington Park's very important, but we was talking about moving the location, or
Yeah,
am I?
as part of our review of our parks plan and our 5-year CIP a couple of years ago, we toyed with the idea of looking at a location that would be more central in that neighborhood, more accessible, more visible. Had a lot of community dialogue, had a lot of meetings out there. I would say there was partial community support from that neighborhood, but not entire community support. In light of that, I think the ultimate decision was to continue with the present arrangement. I think we still have some long-term issues with the park, and the biggest problem, it's on the literal very periphery of the city. It's not very visible from roadways. It's a little bit difficult to get to. So I think long-term plan for how we address that park in the best way is still needed. But over the short run, we want to continue to make some incremental improvements so that the viability of the park is still there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd
Please.
like to see some directional signage to the park. I mean, you don't know it's there if there's no signs, especially from US 42 there. Should be a nice sign,
42
Lexington
and
Park.
35.
Right.
We can certainly look into
And
that.
just to chime back in, if you have bathrooms at a park like Shawnee Park, I get calls, the bathrooms are locked. Well, why do we have bathrooms?
Well, I can respond to it. We've had many issues with the bathrooms over the years. Unfortunately, and I hate to even have to say it, but the vandalism rate is very high. So we have put a timed lock system on those doors. So certain times of the evening into the morning hours. It used to be we were locking them manually. I think they've put the electronic system in place. You'd be surprised the amount of damage. I think more recently we've had a lot more damage at Xenia Station. In fact, I just met with the Foxes group about 2 weeks ago. We literally within the last 2 weeks before that had I think it was about $500-600 in damage. This is a constant battle in these restrooms because even with the enhanced security systems and the cameras we've put up. We annually budget several $1,000s a year to be able to deal with the damage to these restrooms.
So they're not signs saying you're on camera or something?
There are in both of those facilities, but
Still
as a
doesn't prevent the
deterrent, they may
vandalism.
be very marginally effective. And on the back end, depending on conditions, if you can identify the individuals, then that could potentially be evidence. But again, you've got to be able to identify those individuals and get them. I want to make these facilities as available as we can, but the limited budget resources, and we are literally fixing these restrooms multiple times every year. We had some discussion with Foxes about maybe, in fact, I even offered potentially to do some fundraising to look at buying some equipment that would be more industrial grade, so to speak, that we could approach this a little bit differently, that would withstand some of this damage more effectively. But we're talking replacements of entire toilets, sinks, faucets, paper towel dispensers. We may as well not even try. It's just constant. We cannot keep them installed there in a way that they're usable because they're damaged. And it's, for the most part, juveniles. But, we're talking punching holes in walls, shattering windows, tearing down partitions. There's just no limit to the destructiveness of people.
Well,
But
is
I
it
think
possible is it possible to have a couple porta-johns and in lieu of the bathrooms being locked?
honestly, I hate to even say this out loud, but that will be damaged too.
I'm
set on-
sorry?
They'll be damaged too, set on fire, tipped over, whatever it is.
Wow.
I mean, and I've heard you say before, Councilman, it's about having pride in the community.
Right, I
And I think
understand, right.
community policing is
Right,
the best way
yeah.
to deal with this. We need our folks to take pride in
I
our
saw a guy
community,
doing some litter today.
our churches, our families, our individual community members
Right.
taking responsibility. We
Right.
have very limited resources to take care of things like this, and we want to make them available. But it only takes a couple of knuckleheads to really throw a
Just one
wrench
or
in
two.
that.
That's
So
right.
we just call on citizens to police it themselves. Our police will respond. If there's damage occurring, they will respond
Mm-hmm.
as soon as they can.
Good. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anything else for the city manager, please? If not, Mr. Finance Director.
Thank you, Council President. I would just like to remind everyone that the last day to file taxes is Tuesday, April 17th. So you're down to 3 business days here at City Hall. If you have a need for your taxes, your city taxes to be prepared, you can bring those in. We'll prepare them at no charge. It probably will be, there will be some wait at this time of year, but certainly bring those in. You can also file, sending it in via the mail. You can file electronically or drop it in the drop box here at City Hall. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anything for our Finance Director, please? Are you having any extended hours for taxes?
The last day, Tuesday, we will be open till 6. We don't really want to market that to a great extent because if the line is still lengthy at 6 o'clock, our folks will be here for a very long time. So we'll start to shut down the line sometime close to 6 and try to get our folks out of here as quickly as possible after
Don't you
6.
think the director needs to stay until
Oh, yeah.
midnight like the post office does?
Absolutely. So moved.
Isn't this like with the captain goes down with the ship?
I'll second that, Mayor.
That's 2 motions for him.
Feel the love.
Mr. Director, you've got a motion
Madam
on
Law
the
Director,
I have nothing further this evening, thank you.
anything for our Law Director, please? Now Mayor and Council. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Monday, March 26th, I did a ride-along with one of our public service gentlemen, and that was in preparation for a proclamation that I was headed to. And I wanted to give a shout-out to our public service department, and it was very eye-opening, it was very informative. We marked lines, but he took me around to actually look at the catch basins and to look through. When we opened them up, we looked in. It was just very interesting to see what was going on. First, we talk about it all the time, and I confessed to him, I've never actually stood here and looked in. So I would encourage any of you to do that. It was a good experience and very educational. That's what I'm going to say. Also that same day, had lunch with several of the area mayors and Senator Hackett and a representative from Senator Portman's office. It was a good discussion, healthy discussion, and I'm very thankful for that group. We are able to get a lot done. On March 28th, I wasn't able to be there, but the City of Xenia sponsored another meal at One Bistro, and this was because of donations that city employees gave out of their pocket at Christmas time. They gave so much money that we were able as a city to sponsor 2 meals. And city employees volunteered, 3 meals. I forgot, that's right, 3 meals. And also volunteered to serve the meal. So I just think that's an incredible testimony to our employees. And then, as you mentioned, March 31st was the Easter egg hunt, and I wanted to take a minute to give some specific thanks. Alicia Dodson helped run the event that day. She's been helping me the last couple of years as I've run it, and this year I was able just to turn it completely over to her. And she did a phenomenal job. I think it went very smoothly. It's the first time that I've been able just to come and participate. It's the first time I've brought my kids. They had no idea that there was an Easter egg hunt, so I feel very bad about that. Our Xenia Fire Department, not only did they come and spend time there, but they actually gave money towards the event through their union, and I just wanted to thank them for that. Same with our police department. There was presence there. One person in particular just volunteered his time, and it's a good representation. Public service, some of the guys came out, again, just to volunteer. They weren't being paid to be there. They just wanted to make sure that things were going well. Very much appreciated that. Our DJ, Kelly Shanks, she came out for free. She did all the music. She provided the microphone, and she just did that because she wanted to, and we're very blessed for that. lots of volunteers. Frontier Truck Club guys came out. They were at Emmanuel Baptist at 8:30 in the morning to help load up the 10,000 eggs. They brought them in their trucks. They helped load up baskets. They were there the entire time. They helped clean up. They were phenomenal. And then lots of people from churches and different organizations and groups came to volunteer. Our National Honor kids came out to get some volunteer hours. Wanted to thank Pastor Will Urschel. He was the one who spoke to the kids, and he did a great job of talking about what the true meaning of Easter is, why we really celebrate Easter, that it's fun to have the Easter bunny and the egg hunts, but that we celebrate because of a risen Savior. And he's part of the Xenia Area Association of Churches and Ministries, who helps pay for the event, which is why he was able to do that. I want to thank the council. You guys just step up to the plate every year, whether it's by volunteering or giving baskets, and I'm very thankful that our leadership makes it a point to be involved, and that this isn't just something that we say, go help and go do this over there, but actually people come and do. So thank you so much for that. The Easter Bunny, there's a young lady who was the Easter Bunny this year. I won't say who she is. It's supposed to be anonymous, but she knows who she is. And of the city of Xenia.
She's the Easter Bunny.
She's the Easter Bunny. The city of Xenia, and then, of course, the Xenia Area Association of Churches and Ministries that really partner together, both financially and then just through the parks, to make this all happen, to promote it. Our city clerk did a phenomenal job of getting all the flyers ready for the schools, and it's a significant group effort where you see everyone come together. And it's fun and it's exciting, and it's just a testimony to our city of what we can do when we partner. On April 11th, I was able to take part in the Ohio Utilities Protection Service breakfast. Read a proclamation. That's why I did my ride along, so I would not look completely stupid when I stood there and talked about the OOPS program. And that's it. Oh, I do want to mention there's an upcoming event on April 22nd, Sunday night, for Bridges of Hope. It's a fundraiser. It'll be at the Xenia Grace Chapel. It's from 3 to 5. It's a whole thing. Music. I think there's some other things happening, and it's a major fundraiser for the Bridges of Hope, which is, I believe, closing for the season at the end of April. So please come out. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Latterback.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one item. I'm going to piggyback on Brent's tornado. And I ask this every year. Do we have designated tornado shelters in the city?
We do have one specific that we try to make available as best we can at the Public Service Center. And again, we always stress that that really is designed for people who are at the park, typically during business hours. We will try to man that and open it as soon as we can during events, but that's subject to the availability of public safety forces to get there.
But the best advice would be for people just to stay put.
Yep. Central room, bathtub, bathrooms within a bathtub.
Basement, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple things. Was fortunate to have lunch today at One Bistro. It was really good. And for those of you that are watching, if you haven't tried that, they do have limited days. I believe it's Wednesday through Saturday. Mm-hmm. However, if you work downtown, they're saying now they can walk a delivery to you. So they have people that can actually walk your meal to you. I don't know if there's a limit or minimum order or something, but that is available there. I did want to say thanks to Michelle Johnson today for being here. And I know you don't see her on the camera, but we lost our court secretary due to a family issue. And I know you put a lot of hours in, Michelle, so I just want to publicly thank you for stepping up and doing the meetings and providing an occasional meal for us when we have a 2 or 3 hour meeting. A couple things I did want to mention this weekend, starting actually tonight, Friday, Saturday at 7 o'clock, Xenia High School has a musical. This year it's Bye Bye Birdie. And they also have a matinee on Saturday at 3 o'clock as well. A lot of great high school kids are involved in that. It has a cast of 37 kids. I got to see some of the dress rehearsal last night, so I wish them well. And I do want to thank our volunteers in the community. And not to harp on anything we talked about tonight, a question was if council can override maybe BZA or one of these commissions, and I would kind of discourage that, because we have a lot of citizens that volunteer. These are unpaid positions, people that serve on BZA and Planning and Zoning and Traffic Commission, and I don't want to trump what they do, this council. I know we're elected representatives, but personally, that's just my feeling on that. So I appreciate everybody that's watching. Appreciate everybody that cares about our community. A lot of orange barrels going up right now. That's progress with the price. The price is you're going to have to wait a little bit in traffic, but it's well worth it when it's done. And we're really proud of our city. And there's a lot of negativity, a lot of misinformation out on Facebook. Don't get wrapped up into that. Don't believe what you see and hear. It's not true. This council is doing everything we can to make our community better, and we really appreciate that opportunity to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Scrivens.
Mr. President, thank you. Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, City of Xenia, my colleagues. Mr. President, I'll be brief this evening. Just wanted to say that we do miss our receptionist over here, our recording secretary, Ms. Tina Siebert. We understand she has some family issues, and we're praying for a positive outcome. So just wanted to let her know that we have not forgotten her, and we're praying for her. Then again, I want to thank Michelle. She's our star without getting to be on the floor. You know, I want to thank her for taking the training at the Attorney General's office to become our open records person. So now that you've been trained, you have to train somebody else. So in case you have to miss a day, we don't want to have a gap in our open records process. So we just thank her for her due diligence and taking care of business. Just shows that once you're a professional, you still have to develop. And that's why we have it, we call it professional development. Want to thank the BRCA board for allowing me to participate in the Easter egg hunt. This was my first year, and I was thoroughly amazed and thoroughly impressed. Mayor, she's a jewel. She had us organized. We was like Energizer bunnies. Councilman Dean, President Smith. If you would have seen us working, but the kids, it was, see, I don't have children that I'm claiming. And it was just a joy to see the special needs children and all of the younger children. It's something about that face that you see that does something for you. And I was impressed. And we need to do more of that to show our hospitality. We have to show our love. We just can't talk about it. We have to do something. Love is a verb. It's not a noun. It's used like that, but it's a verb. So you got to get out there and show yourself. So council people, thank you for allowing me to participate. I was just thoroughly amazed at the citizens who showed out with their children. And like you said, it was thousands. It was more people in Shawnee Park that cold morning than I've seen in years, maybe since the fireworks. That's a good thing that we do. So anything that we do to bring us together is a good thing. So it may cost us something, but that's the cost of having a good quality of life. So with that, Mr. President, just one question. Where is the street sweeper? If it's in mothballs, it's time to get that bad boy rolling.
It should be up and running. I mean, they have a regular route that they're running, so
okay.
If there are particular areas that you have concern, let me know, and we'll.
I mean, I'll drive around the city all the time, and I've never seen them. Have you seen them?
I have seen
this
them.
year?
I have.
Okay.
I mean, typically, especially as we get to this time of year, it's an overnight route, so you probably won't see them. You may hear them in the middle of the night.
So we sweep downtown at night?
Yes.
Oh,
In fact,
good.
we'll do the whole city. There's a route that covers every street in the city on a regular basis.
Okay.
He does my street every day.
Yeah, that's because you're here. With that, Mr. President, I yield back.
I live on a private street.
A gated community.
Yeah, gated community.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I just want to say thanks to the council for allowing me to participate, and we're doing the best we can with what we have to work with.
Well,
And if we had more to work with, we'd do better. So we're going to do better with what we got, so.
And I would just add, before I turn to the next gentleman, it really is all about servant leadership.
Yep.
And coming together and doing those kinds of activities is a great example of servant leadership
That's right.
across the entire community, be it elected officials, volunteers, city staff. It really is, to your words, that I could see and hear the emotion in your voice, really appreciated. And I certainly have done it for a number of years, but each year it's just a special event and a privilege.
That's right.
So thank you. Councilman Dean, please.
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Mr. Vice President.
I had the privilege on Saturday, the 7th, I think it was, to preach for, and I don't know what Stephanie Blackburn is calling the group, but this was the second month that they'd met. But it's a community group that's working with homeless people. They met first month. I'm not sure they were. I think they were Bridges of Hope, weren't they?
Community night of worship? Is it the night of worship?
Yes.
It's an afternoon.
Yeah, the community worship,
Community worship, and the first month, and I didn't even know they had done that. Then I was invited to speak the second month at Toward Independence, and we had that service, and it was a communion service, and it was just super special. And I spoke, and the musician that she had was phenomenal. We had just a marvelous opportunity of worship, and we were only there for about an hour, but it was an extra special time, and it was great. Actually, I've never had the opportunity to experience my walking impairment. I haven't tried to tackle the part, but I have supported Mayor Mays when I was president of the Xenia Area Association of Churches. Certainly supported that effort, but I'm going to have to tackle the walking impairment and do it next year and see for myself if it yielded all the emotion that it did out of Councilmember Scrivens. It's got to be extra special, but
Extra special.
extra special. It was extra special. So I'm going to have to plan on doing that next year. And I've got a great granddaughter who would probably love to be there. So that's it for me.
The next community worship, just for reference, will be on May 5th at the Pavilion in the Park. So
At the Cinco de Mayo. Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
So there is another service coming May 5th at the park.
Do we know who the speaker is yet?
It doesn't say.
Doesn't say. Okay.
For myself, I don't have much to add other than thank you to all my colleagues and the city manager, city finance director, city law director, and all the staff. You make our city go every day, and every day I appreciate it because it truly is being run, I think, as a very good team. And team is where you make a difference. Individually, we all try hard. Team makes the difference, and I think we are doing, as has been said before, we are doing as much as we know we can, and we will seek and find ways to be better, be more efficient, and do more. So, if there's nothing else, I would seek a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by Councilman Latterback, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Dean. Roll call, please.
Vice President Wells.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Latterback.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Councilman Dean.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Eaton.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
All righty.